of an individual, and then devising methods for control of lifestyle diseases. So this is how we entered into this segment. Now, we have a very interesting team. Whenever you happen to come to Pune, I would love to show you our lab and our facility. We have a wonderful team which has been doing, scientists who have been doing research on genes and genetics. Now, when I say scientists, we do not have typical scientists with long beard and weird looking fellows. They are all decent people, they do good work, and we have been doing cloning and all these things for the last several years. So, what is this science and what have we been doing with this science for the last several years, and how is this audience supposed to know, or why is this audience supposed to know about nutrigenomics? Now, before going to the next slide, let me quickly ask certain questions, which are rhetorical questions of course, to the audience on lifestyle diseases. Fine? A simple nod may also help. For example, are we all of the same opinion that lifestyle diseases are increasing in number these days? I mean, the incidences of lifestyle diseases, whether it is obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiac diseases. One of the major diseases is PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, a very classical example of increase in lifestyle disease. Yes, you all agree, right? Do we all agree that our lifestyle has changed and it is one of the reasons for that? Yes, that's also true. At the same time, do we all also believe strongly that when it comes to lifestyle disease, genetics has a very important role to play? For example, if you know that some person is suffering from type 2 diabetes and the person has a family history of diabetes as well, it's very easy for us to say, okay, this person suffered from diabetes just because he had a family history of diabetes. So for us, logically, it doesn't challenge much to us, it's simple. Then the other case would be that there's a person who didn't have a history of type 2 diabetes, but he is unfortunately suffering from obesity. He has a very unregulated lifestyle. He doesn't work out. He eats all sorts of foods, probably a major component of it is junk food. And he suffers from diabetes. Would you be surprised? No. Why? Because you would say that though he didn't have any family history of diabetes, he suffered from diabetes because his lifestyle was bad. Right? So in these two cases, there is some or the other trigger factors which doesn't make you feel that, okay, there is something abnormal. But the third case, a person, middle-aged person, non-obese, following very good lifestyle, exercising, working out, following that, no lifestyle, no history of type 2 diabetes, and one day is diagnosed with diabetes. A lean person. Have you come across such people? I'm sure you have. And if at least those who are working in the field of dietetics or lifestyle diseases, yes, you would have come across such people. Now the question comes is that when it comes to disease like type 2 diabetes, we can see it across the spectrum. Whether there is lifestyle history, whether there is lifestyle risk, or in absence of both of it. That means that there is some other element that is playing role in trigger of that disease. And that element is genetics. Genetic makeup of an individual, which all these days was not known much, all these days it was not deciphered, but nowadays, fortunately, thanks to the research, people have started working on it, and 20 years back, there was something called as Human Genome Project that was completed. It helped the researchers in understanding complete genetic makeup of an individual. And it gave wonderful answers to several questions like this that we had. Today we are going to link these lifestyle diseases and genetics and how a person can know about genetic makeup. I would like to start with a question to the audience on how lifestyle diseases and genetics is connected. We all know about obesity. What is important in obesity, or in order to manage obesity or control obesity? Control on diet and control on exercise, right? Both things are important. Do we all agree that exercise is important?
Yes.
Now my next question is, which is the right time for exercise?
Morning.
Morning? Early morning? Anyone would like to go with this opinion that yes, morning is a good time, or anyone over here has a different opinion?
Evening also.
Evening?
Yeah.
Evening. So we have one opinion.
Morning and evening whichever is applicable. Whichever is applicable.
Anytime you are comfortable with.
Which time you are comfortable. Perfect. Okay. Any other answer?
Even sir, nowadays many more gyms are available over 24 hours.
Perfect. Fine.
You come and join, you
Correct.
you do the exercise.
Which means that there are all options available to us. There is a school of thought, some people would feel morning exercise is good. Why? Because we are raised in that environment. सुबह उठो, सुबह 5 बजे उठो और अच्छी एक्सरसाइज करो, वर्जिश करो क्योंकि that is useful. Then there is other category of people who will say अरे कभी भी करो अच्छा है, right? Then there is other thought कि करो important है, जब भी comfortable है करो, right? Have you ever thought that your body probably saying that some time of the day which is most important for exercise for that person, body is also saying that okay इस time पे exercise करना चाहिए. There is an element in our body called as body clock, also called as biological clock. It is that clock which you don't wear, which you don't see, but it is that clock that wakes you up in the morning. Who wakes you up? Not the alarm. Not every time the alarm clock. It is your body clock. At a particular time you get up in the morning. It's your body clock. Everyone has a body clock. And there are genetic makeup and it is governed by our genetic makeup. So, our body clock, actually research has found out that our body clock is of two types. Some people have a morning type of, to wake up early in the morning type of body clock, and the other categories to wake up slightly late. These are the two types of body clock. Now, very interestingly, you would be surprised to know that those people who have an early type of body clock, they will get response of exercise better if they work out in the morning. And the other category of people who have a later body clock or evening body clock will get response to exercise better if it is done in the evening. We have thousands of genes and lakhs of genes in our body which we have got from our parent. One of the gene is clock gene. We have either a morning clock gene or a evening clock gene. Depending upon your clock gene, one should actually decide the exercise and not just depending on the convenience. Right? This is called as personalization, and this is not a theory. This has gone into practice, this has gone into evidence. Today my discussion for next few minutes is going to be all on evidence based, which means science where there has been study, where there has been theory, where it has been proved by research, there are trials done and there are evidences. Not based on assumptions or thoughts or experiences alone. So, this is how body clock is important. That genetic makeup decides which kind of exercise is good for you. So, let's say if you are a dietitian and you see a patient who says that he is suffering from obesity and he wants to lose weight. Now, you work on that person's diet chart, you give him a wonderful diet chart, you also, let's say, suggest him an exercise. But do we give a thought at which time of the exercise that person should work on? If the person is of evening time, evening clock time, and is working out in the morning, what's going wrong probably is he's not working out as per his body clock. And if he is not able to lose weight, then what's going wrong is his exercise time is going wrong. Simple change the time of exercise and he'll start getting better results. Fine? This is how genetics govern. Similarly, as I mentioned, there are many lifestyle diseases. This is just one factor. Likewise, obesity is governed by multiple genes and there are 14 different genetic factors that can tell you how obesity control can be brought based on one's genetic makeup. Which means that a diet or exercise pattern that is suitable for someone, it's not necessary that it will work for me. I need to work out and I need to follow diet as per my genetic makeup to get a better response or to get a quicker response. If I don't understand my genetic makeup, will I still be able to control my weight? Yes, I will be. But probably I will be doing some amount of trial and error. Right? Now that I have told you this concept of morning clock, evening and morning, I am sure those who are trying to lose weight based on exercise, they will try both the times. Right? They will try 3 months of morning workout, and they will try 3 months of evening workout and see what is the best response. Right? So there is going to be trial and error. Genetics today says that you need not do this trial and error. You simply give a saliva sample, find out what is your clock gene, morning or evening, and start exercising. Why do you want to wait for 6 months for that? Right? At the same time, what all dietary factors are important in losing weight? There are many factors. Which all dietary factors are actually contributing to high cholesterol in one's body? Everything can be found. This is how genetics. So, in short, when it comes to lifestyle diseases such as diabetes, obesity, or many other heart diseases and so on, it's not just the environment, the diet, exercise or lifestyle that plays a role, but it is also genetic makeup that decides how to control it or how to manage it. Now, which all diseases are covered in it? Let's take example. So there are diseases like obesity, depression. I mean, depression is a disease and it's a very important disease, and it is also a lifestyle disease, a component of it. Hypertension, stroke, allergies, all these diseases which are known as otherwise lifestyle disease or metabolic disease, their roots are associated with several metabolic activities or chemical activities that happen in our body, and all of them are governed by genetic makeup of an individual. The science of nutrigenomics helps us understand what is the genetic makeup of an individual and suggests how one can control that disease or how one can prevent that disease. Now, let's try to further break it down. So, how will one control a lifestyle disease or try to manage a lifestyle disease? Simple. One can change the factors that are in the environment, change the exercise, change the diet pattern, etc. What we cannot change is the genetic makeup. I was just discussing this with some members from the audience before the lecture, that if I am born with a set of genes, let's say I am born with clock gene, evening clock gene, and I start working out in the evening, it will help me. But if I am born with the evening clock gene, if I start working out in the morning, does that mean that after 6 months my evening clock gene will become morning? No, it doesn't happen. Your genes, whatever you are born with, it remains as it is. You will not be able to change your gene, but yes, you will definitely be able to get benefit from it. Hence, the science of, or this science of nutrigenomics today, it helps in understanding what is the strength or weakness of an individual and how to control or how to avoid a particular lifestyle disease of an individual. So whenever you come across cases which are stubborn cases, stubborn obesity, stubborn type 2 diabetes, stubborn gastric distress, let's take example of gastric distress also. Whenever you come across any such cases where they are stubborn, one has tried various things but one has not been able to get solution to it. What's going wrong probably is a person is following general pattern of diet, exercise, lifestyle, and he is not following as per his genetic makeup. That's why he is not able to get result. If the person starts following as per his genetic makeup, he would get result. Let us take example of gastric distress or gastric diseases. Now, how have you heard of gluten intolerance? I'm sure you might have heard of this. Gluten. Gluten is a protein present in wheat, and there are many people who suffer from gluten intolerance. So, anyone in the audience who feels that gluten intolerance is very common in India, how many of you feel? Those who know about gluten, of course, you have been in that. You feel gluten intolerance is very common? Fine? Okay. So, and what percentage, any rough percentage, you see a lot of patients every day?
60% around.
60%? Fine, okay. 60%. For those who do not know gluten, I tell you, gluten is a protein present in wheat.
So it's very rare.
It's very rare. Okay, so we have another option. Very rare. So
I know one of my colleague daughter has a problem, but it's only one.
Only one case.
One case I have
Allergy is
seen in my
different from intolerance.
Allergy is different from intolerance. So gluten allergies, I see he's talking about intolerance.
I'm talking
You're talking
about
about
intolerance.
allergy. Correct. Okay. So there are different school of thoughts, right? Gluten intolerance means when gluten that is present in wheat, it enters into the body, it causes some problem. Okay, it disturbs. What are the common symptoms of gluten intolerance? I mean, the thought itself is very interesting. Can wheat create a problem in our body? Yes. The answer is yes. The protein present in wheat can do that. Now, what is that gluten intolerance? It causes issues such as something that is very common, issues such as acidity, IBS, okay, abdominal pain, cramps, and in severe form it will cause severe diseases such as celiac disease or ulcerative colitis. So what we did was, we did a survey of somewhere around 7,000 and odd cases, random cases in the country, where people were complaining that they are suffering from one or the other gastric distress. 7,000 and odd. And we did their genetic testing for gluten intolerance. You will be surprised, we found 98% people intolerant to gluten genetic. 98. Even we were surprised. How come 98% of Indian population can be intolerant to gluten? You have been consuming gluten since so many years. It's difficult. But it's true. What is different is that, so to answer your question, yes, it's very common genetically. And gluten intolerance can erupt in various forms. Allergies or sensitivities can erupt in various forms, such as acidity, IBS, constipation, and so on. So what is different is, since a large population is intolerant to gluten genetically, what is different among us is the grade is different. Some of us are very less intolerant, some of us are severely intolerant. Now those who are severely intolerant, they might also in the beginning suffer from acidity. Those who are less intolerant, they might also in the beginning suffer from acidity. But if we all continue to consume gluten, one day one who is genetically very sensitive will land up in a serious problem. Fine? So if you see a person who is saying कि यार मैं बहुत acidity हमेशा हो रहा है मुझे, I am suffering from acidity very chronically, irritable bowels है, बार constipation, a lot of stress. The simple solution could be, and this is something that our team of dietitians came up with, is that ask that individual to avoid gluten for 8 to 10 days. Absolutely not consume wheat or wheat related products, no bakery, nothing. If the signs and symptoms reduce, that means yes, you are a candidate of gluten sensitivity or intolerance. How severe it is, then you can find out based on genetic makeup. If it doesn't reduce, that means the problem is different. You have at least eliminated one answer. Then once you do the genetic test and you find out that the person is genetically severely intolerant, based on that you can decide whether to completely eliminate gluten or partially. So this is how a simple problem such as acidity, but it could have variable degrees of management, and that is what can be brought. This science of understanding genetic makeup and hence giving diet, exercise, lifestyle suggestion is called as nutrigenomics. Similarly, there is another science called as pharmacogenomics, where we can understand the genetic makeup of an individual and suggest drugs accordingly. Those who belong to pharma would know that metformin is a drug that is used for treatment of type 2 diabetes. Does it work uniformly in all individuals? No. There are reports that people will say metformin is not uniformly working. Why? Because some people genetically are not competent to metformin. Their responsiveness to metformin is not similar to that of other. And FDA, US FDA has listed around 170 drugs which a person or doctor can now decide whether to prescribe or not based on genetic makeup of an individual, so that the drug will be done. So as I mentioned, this study of nutrigenomics or pharmacogenomics, it's based on the research that was carried out 20 years back called as Human Genome Project. And the research said that it was done by multiple nations, multiple researchers. It simply said that lifestyle disease, whether you have to control it or whether you have to avoid it, there are certain aspects of genetic elements that can be used. Nowadays, with a simple saliva test, you can find out the entire profile of an individual. And based on that profile, you can decide what type of dietary changes can be made, what type of, whether to avoid the disease or to control the disease. Who should take up the genetic test? That's usually the next question. Who should undergo the genetic test? If it's so interesting, if it's so useful, should everyone undergo the genetic testing? My personal suggestion is that though everyone can benefit from it, not everyone should be recommended to go for it. Why? Because everyone will not be motivated to go for it. For a dietitian, for a doctor, who is the right candidate for a genetic test? A stubborn case is the right candidate. You see a person dyslipidemia, not being able to control, is the right candidate. Insulin resistance, in spite of the person claiming that there is a lot of dietary control and the person says that he is following all dietary recommendation, exercising, still not, he is the right candidate. Why? Because probably from the genetic test you will be able to find those things which are not reported and which could be identified. Just for an example, PCF ratio, protein carbohydrate fat ratio. It can be different for different individuals based on genetic makeup. Some people show sensitivity to fat, some people show sensitivity to carb. So you can actually balance the carbohydrate and fat ratio based on the genetic makeup. So who should undergo the genetic test? Stubborn cases. And why we need to go through them? Because probably all the general principles in these individuals are failed. One element in lifestyle disease is always there. Patient बोल रहा है कि सर डॉक्टर साहब मैं सब फॉलो कर रहा हूँ, मैडम मैं सब फॉलो कर रहा हूँ, बोल रहा है, probably is not doing that. Fine, he has committed, he has promised you, मैं एक चपाती खा रहा हूँ. The dietitian had allowed this chapati, he is eating this chapati. Right? These are common problems, portions. मैं एक कटोरी राइस खा रहा हूँ, ये कटोरी मैडम ने बोला था, he is eating this कटोरी. So these are common issues. The people are going to claim that they are following, but they may probably not be following. Stubborn cases and other people who are suffering, who have a lifestyle history of a disease, they would be good candidate because they may probably suffer from it. And I'll show you certain evidences on it. So in case of lifestyle disease management, where actually genetics will play a role, in therapy, yes, in understanding which drug would work better. Will it help in understanding or diagnosing tendencies of disease? Yes. Will it help in modifying the diet, exercise, lifestyle? Yes. We have done more than 15,000 cases in the last 5 years, and a very interesting pattern has come. These are all cases where people either were stubborn cases or they had family history and their genetic makeup was done and then the diet, exercise, lifestyle was developed. And we found that this was the different pattern that was obtained. Now, which all diseases can be managed or avoided, or we can attempt to avoid them using genetic makeup? So these are the common diseases: obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, PCOS, food intolerance. If you ask me thyroidism, I'll say no. Unfortunately, there is not much of research done on thyroid management or thyroidism management in genetics. So even if some organization claims that there is genetics of thyroidism available, I'm sorry, you can demand the research and evidence on that. It's not available. Few cases definitely you can handle. These are, yes, enough of genetic research has been done so that the diet, exercise management can be. So how should a dietitian look at this study? Very simple. You are giving a diet advice to your patient today. If he is a stubborn case, stubborn in the sense symptomatic stubborn. Patient is not stubborn, patient is resistant, he is not showing response. And you do a genetic test, probably there would be certain clues that you would get which can help you modify the diet or the exercise pattern. This is it, and I'm going to show a case. Let's say case of obesity. A very common problem in India, obesity. In fact, Indians or Asians are cursed with obesity genetics. Okay? There is a gene called as PPR gamma. We have several lakhs of genes, as I mentioned. We get them from our parent, and these genes could be good or bad. So if you get the bad gene, we are in problem. If you get the good gene, there is no problem. So there is a gene called as PPR gamma that decides whether a person will have central obesity. That is having fat in the abdomen. Asians, 98% people will have that genetic makeup. Okay. So in Asia and India, it's very common for people to have a bulged abdomen. In fact, अगर किसी को नहीं है तो you would start questioning, ठीक से खाना वगैरह नहीं मिलता है क्या? You don't seem to be healthy. So this is how it is inculcated in our mind. So we are cursed with obesity genetics. We will have a very high abdominal tendency. Now, what is the conventional mechanism of weight loss management? Simple. खाना कम कीजिए, exercise बढ़ाइए. खाने में क्या कम कीजिए? ऑयली कम कीजिए, शुगर कम कीजिए, पोर्शन कम कीजिए, सब कम कीजिए and exercise बढ़ाइए तो weight control होगा. Very simple logics. This is something that people know, and apart from that, then there are many theories. There is keto theory, there is intermittent fasting theory. Okay, then there are meal replacement theory. We come up with multiple theories. How genetics of an individual governs? Let's see this. Okay. Genes of an individual actually decide, मतलब obesity control में जो carb भी कम करे, sugar भी कम करे, fat भी कम करे. How it is not applicable everywhere. Genes have already decided, our genetic makeup that we are born with has already decided whether we are sensitive to carbs or fat. If I am sensitive to carb and not fat, I can consume within my energy requirement more carbs and fat rather than fat. So if I am, let's say, not sensitive to carb, मुझे carb से obesity का problem नहीं है, fat से है. इसका मतलब क्या? My dietitian can allow me more carb. Protein, carbohydrate, fat ratio जो वो decide करते, they can allow me more carb. Fine? इसका मतलब instead of one chapati, then से आप 2 चपाती खा सकते. Fine? Carb is not a problem. Fat is. लेकिन एक के बजाय 2 चपाती खाइए, लेकिन fat बिल्कुल मत लीजिए, यानी butter घी उसमें बिल्कुल मत आए. Exactly opposite case होगा. If the person is sensitive to fat and the person is sensitive to this thing, carbs and not fat, the dietitian will see you reduce the carbohydrate, increase fat in the diet. Instead of 2 chapati, cut down to 1. अब एक चपाती 2 की जगह एक चपाती के नॉर्मल इंसान सोचेगा अरे मेरा तो खाना कम कर दिया. Fine. So in that case, the dietitians can use fat. Because fat may you don't have sensitivity to fat. They'll say instead of 2 chapati, I'm going to advise you to consume 1. But in order to make you feel that you have eaten sufficient, I'm going to advise you to add some amount of butter to it because fats bring satiety. Fine. Fat is not a culprit, so within your PCF ratio, they can increase the fat PCF ratio, protein carbohydrate fat ratio के percentages होते हैं 20, 20, 25, 55, 20, 30, 50, 20. These are the different ratio. ये ratio today, dietitians are unfortunately, they have to decide it based on their judgment or on trial and error. Based on a genetic makeup, you can decide it right in the beginning कि ये fat PCF ratio इस इंसान का होना चाहिए, and there are evidences of it, and we have been following it. Right. So whether you are sensitive to carb or fat is decided by genetic makeup. Second, time of food intake, as I mentioned, multiple times or more number or less number of time, only 2 meals a day or multiple meals a day. How many meals? Some people need food every now and then. Right? Some people need food only less number of time. Don't unnecessarily give them large number of foods because that may create a problem. Type of exercise. Which exercise is good? Is yoga good? Is gym exercise good? Is cardio good? How do we decide? We decide today based on किसी ने जिम लगाया तो आज मैं जिम करूँगा. 6 महीने के बाद मैंने बाबा रामदेव की का वीडियो देखा, उसमें बहुत अच्छा योगा कर रहे थे, started doing yoga. So you are influenced, or a person is influenced by several other factors, but our body has already decided whether you respond to yoga or power type, endurance type of exercise more or power type. So कौन सा exercise का combination करना चाहिए, that is also decided by genetic makeup. Time of exercise, whether morning or evening, snacking tendency, whether you should eat meals every now and then, and finally all other factors apart from carb, fat, inflammation. There are some factors that can avoid weight loss and there are some factors that can enhance weight loss. जैसे gluten, wheat. There are some people who after consuming wheat triggers inflammation or swelling in the body. It avoids, it restricts the weight loss. In such individuals, remove the wheat and add more of rice. This is what we do. So this is how with the help of genetic makeup you could do it. This is a simple case. This is how a genetic report looks like. For a common man, okay, it might just be a simple chart. But what is present in a typical report is the names of the genes. These are names of the genes. It might sound Latin and Greek to you, but scientific names है. But what you can see is the name of genes, the factors that it control, and also interestingly, this traffic signal pattern that you can see is nothing but it tells whether a person has a beneficial type of gene or a non-beneficial type. Just to give you an example, clock gene. What color you can see over here? Green color. So green color means this person doesn't have any restriction with respect to time. Morning, evening, any time is good for him. Fine. But at the same time, you can see ApoE gene, you can see a red pattern over here. What does that mean? That this individual has a very high sensitivity for certain types of fats. Now, if you go to that person's chart, I'll show that chart later on in the subsequent slide. ApoE gene में red है, they are 25% of the population. These people, सुना कि moderate alcohol is good for cholesterol management, right? Red wine is good for cholesterol management. These 25% people who show red type of symbol, these are those people in which moderate alcohol is not going to help. On the contrary, it's going to create problems. These are the people जिनमें fish oil based omega fatty acids is going to increase triglycerides and LDL. While those who have green or yellow pattern, they will very well respond to omega fatty acid. So, of vitamin B12, vitamin B9 and B6. Now, genetically, some people cannot metabolize the routine folic acid. Okay, the routine folic acid, that is vitamin B9, which is required. If some people, around 33% of the population, if they consume this folic acid, which is supposed to enter into the body and reduce homocysteine, these people are not genetically programmed to do that. So as a result, if they consume folic acid, it remains as it is in the body and it is flushed out and their homocysteine levels go on increasing. So what do such people need? Such people need something called, or a different version of vitamin B9 called as methylfolate, L5-methylfolate. So this is how the chain is that the normal folic acid is to be converted into methylfolate, and there is an enzyme that is required for it. There are 33% cases of mutation in the population where this reaction does not happen. So if your patient is suffering from anemia or depression or PCOS or recurrent pregnancy losses, which are all examples of high homocysteine level, probably what's going wrong is that your patient is not able to control homocysteine level. Check his homocysteine. If it's above 15, he is definitely metabolically or at cellular level not having sufficient levels of vitamin. In such cases, when you do the mutation analysis, you come to know which type of vitamin B6, 9, 12 he is going to respond to, and you can actually change that. Right? So that's how hyperhomocysteinemia can be managed. So when a patient, a common man comes to a doctor or a dietitian saying that, Doctor Sahab, आज मुझे blood pressure या heart से related कोई बीमारी नहीं है, but I want to prevent it. Are we suggesting homocysteine test today? No. Are we suggesting analysis of whether homocysteine related mutation is present? No. Which means that we are probably not addressing that. This is what preventive cardiac management is, or many other such factors could be managed. So this is the APOE gene that I was showing in red. These are the 6 different forms of APOE. Just concentrate on this. APOE, there is a gene and there are 6 different types. So मान लीजिए कि इस रूम में 10 लोग हैं. So everyone has a different type of APOE. हम में से किसी एक को 2/2 होगा, किसी का 2/3 ये gene type होगा. और what happens to our LDL, HDL cholesterol levels if we consume this? So मान लीजिए कि आपका gene type 2/2 है और आपने fish oil based omega fatty acids खाया है, तो आपके cholesterol levels का क्या होगा? Your triglycerides will reduce. Triglyceride is not good. Excess is not good. So it's good. Small dense LDL will reduce. HDL increases. So fish oil खाना is beneficial for these type of people. Good thing. But if you are born with this type of gene, just see what impact fish oil has on it. Triglycerides will reduce, but you can see that there is lesser reduction. Here you have high reduction, here you have less. Look at the HDL and LDL. Same individual, same intervention, HDL instead of increasing, it reduces. LDL increases, HDL is good cholesterol. So 2/2 people, if they consume fish oil, good cholesterol increases. But if the same supplement, same food, if you are of this genotype, your HDL increases. What does that mean? That means same supplement is not going to work in all individuals. So are we doing complete cardiac health management if we are not aware of this? No, we are not doing it. This is how cardiac health management can be addressed. Other thing, moderate alcohol. What is moderate alcohol? There are definitions of moderate alcohol, right? But moderate alcohol, these people, these are blessed people. Okay, so moderate alcohol, they can consume red wine, etc. Not in excess, but yes. So HDL increases, LDL reduces. But the same fellow, if he is born with this genetic makeup, he will not be able to change this. If he starts consuming, look at the impact of HDL. Good cholesterol reduces, bad cholesterol increases. So can we say moderate alcohol is good for everyone? No. So are we doing preventive cardiac management without addressing this? No, we are not. Hence, how genetics will play a role? We have seen obesity, where management is possible. We have seen gluten intolerance, management is possible. We are now seeing cardiac management, where preventive management is also possible. Where we are not, all these days we were not addressing a couple of things, now we are addressing. And I have been in different parts of the country. This subject, let me tell you, it's not just new to you all, it's new to many people, including doctors. And that's why it is the role of fraternity of molecular biologists like us to go and reach to people, including doctors, gynecologists, physicians, and explain them what is the role. It takes time for them to understand, appreciate, practice, see, and then.
Yeah, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Now, 2 entrepreneurs are there.
Yeah.
Both of them are entrepreneurs. So my question is that suppose they want to utilize this genetic management for their entrepreneurship rather than this health issue, because we are having something known as neuroplasticity. Our brain functions and when it fires together, it wires together. So can genetic management help us in taking better decision?
Okay, very interesting question.
तो मैं चाह रहा था सर कि कंटिन्यू हो जाए फिर बाद में Q&A कर लिया जाए।
So I'll certainly answer that. The answer broadly is no. But I'll answer that. We'll still have to take decisions on our own. Lifestyle disease, yes, we can use genetics. Right, okay. The same is with PCOS. PCOS, the clinical expert should not look at PCOS only as insulin resistance, only as obesity or only as hormonal imbalance, but there are many other factors and genetic makeup governs it. A couple of more than 500 cases of PCOS even we have seen, and what we came to know was that it's not just obesity or insulin resistance management, but even estrogen management plays an important role. So estrogen excess has been recorded for especially in cases of PCOS, and how this estrogen excess happens I was discussing with the audience over here. Estrogen, it's not just produced by a female, but it's also ingested by an individual from environment. We consume a lot of foods that have estrogen in it. They are called as xenoestrogen. If they are of chemical nature, it's xenoestrogen. If they are of natural plant origin, it is phytoestrogen. Soybean is a good example of phytoestrogen. But there are unfortunately females who are born with such a genetic makeup that their body is producing good amount of estrogen. On top of it, from environment, they are getting a lot of estrogens, either through soybean or such phytoestrogens, or these days we are consuming food products which are loaded with pesticides and fertilizer. They also function of estrogen. So a female who is genetically programmed to produce high amount of estrogen, on top of it she consumes all such foods, her estrogen levels in the body increase. What happens as a result of it? The phenomenon called as estrogen dominance or estrogen excess happens. This estrogen excess is one of the reasons for PCOS, not just PCOS. See a breast, uterus, ovaries, many cancers. It has been documented, evident. So, if one has to address this issue, how do we look at it? Will genetics help? Yes, genetics can help. One way is that though a person has the ability to produce estrogen, and on top of it we consume estrogen through nature, at the same time a female also has the ability to eliminate estrogen from her body by a mechanism called as detoxification. Phase 1 and phase 2. Okay? Now these phase 1 phase 2 detoxification, which is done by liver, they are enhanced by certain phytochemicals. They are enhanced by certain chemicals. Unfortunately, some females are genetically programmed in such a way that they will produce high estrogen, but their genetic makeup is such that their estrogen elimination is also very weak. Hence, the genetic test helps us identify which chemicals will enhance the detoxification. I'll give you one example. Curcumin is a chemical that can be used for such detoxification. Curcumin is an active ingredient present in turmeric. Okay, that's why consuming turmeric is considered to be good. Now, the moment I say curcumin is good, one of the common responses is start consuming curcumin. Right? Around 25% population will have such a genetic makeup that curcumin is not going to help. On the contrary, reduce the process of detoxification. What does that mean? That means that curcumin, which is a molecule that is helpful in some individual, is harmful in others. Are we in a blanket manner recommending curcumin to people? There are a group of individuals who are doing this. Are we recommending curcumin to people who need it? Probably we are not. What does that mean? That the fine-tuning or recommendation of chemicals required for effective detoxification is absent. Those who probably need it are not getting it. Those who don't need it are probably consuming it. Hence, PCOS management, or for that matter, risk management for CA breast uterus is incomplete if we do not know detoxification. That's why I said that we can use this genetic makeup analysis in PCOS. If you see a stubborn case of PCOS, right, a resistant case, what probably is going to be helpful is for long-term management is, and if the female is not responding to normal methods, in such cases if you do the analysis, apart from obesity management, you can also understand how estrogen management can be enhanced, how estrogen management can be addressed. So this is what I think I already discussed about estrogen. There are a lot of estrogen-rich foods present around. and hence we need to look at or address the factors of effective detoxification. So with this we come to the last part of my slide. I have already discussed what is nutrigenomics. Nutrigenomics is a science which can be used to understand genetic makeup of an individual and based on that suggest diet, exercise and lifestyle. To whom it is useful? To all stubborn cases of lifestyle disease, diabetes, obesity, etc. For what? For management of it. Is it useful to also people who are not suffering from it? Yes, for preventive management. But if you feel that there is a high risk factor, either through lifestyle or through family history, these are the two cases. Will genetic test be useful to any other individual who doesn't fall in either category? Yes, but then it is that person's choice whether the person wants to do it or not. As a practitioner, as an interventionist, whether it is a dietitian, whether it is an exercise expert or a clinician, if you look at stubborn cases, I would strongly suggest that you should also explore the possibility of understanding genetic makeup of that individual, so that based on that you will be able to probably fine-tune the diet and exercise recommendation. Now, similarly, pharmacogenomics is the science which can be used for doctors to decide which drugs will be used. And why? Because then doctors also come across cases where drugs are not working, there are side effects, people are not responding to it, and that's why one size fits all doesn't work. So one metformin सबको नहीं चलता है, वही statin सबको नहीं चलता. Some people say अरे मुझे statin से problem हो रहा है. Why? Because there is genetics behind it. Some people respond to a statin, some people would respond to B type of statin, and that's why. And this is the reason why pharmacogenomics can be used, where we can find out that how drugs can be fine-tuned. So these are different segments for which genetic testing can be used for drug management, whether it is rheumatology, gastroenterology, psychiatry, and so on. And similarly, it is useful in infertility management as well, to find out or to optimize the IVF cycle. IVF cycle includes picking up of ovum from the female and sperm and then doing in vitro fertilization. Now, what type of the ovum will be released, how good the fertilization can happen, all this thing can be mapped with the help of pharmacogenomic testing, and that's how increasing the efficiency of IVF treatment is also possible. We had developed this test, and I'm happy to mention that this test was first launched by one of the India's top IVF center in Bangalore, known as Milan. They're still continuing it. We also have documents on how the efficiencies have increased in terms of IVF. We'll be coming up with a publication on that as well. In fact, I also forgot to mention that I'm also investigator on a Ministry of Science approved research project, sanctioned research project, and it's a matter of pride for our organization because this is one of the first type of research project in the world where we are studying that how yoga actually has an effect at genetic level. It is said that pre-diabetic people, if they follow a particular type of yoga regimen, their transition from pre-diabetic to diabetic will stop. That means a pre-diabetic person will not become diabetic if he follows some yoga regimen. This is Ministry of Ayush recommendation. They have done years of research on it. What we are trying to do is, we are trying to find that how yoga affects at gene expression level. Yoga can actually trigger certain genes on and off. This has been documented for certain diseases but not lifestyle diseases. And we have already started that research. 1 year has been completed. The second year has started where the subject recruitment has been done. And now there will be two groups. One is following yoga and the other is not following yoga. And we are checking what are the changes at the gene expression level. Similarly, there would be other. Now, whether if a person wants to do this type of testing for diabetes, obesity, PCOS management, what is the process? The process is very simple. Since my organization is also involved into commercially offering this test, what we have developed is a mechanism called as pre-test counseling. So any patient whom you feel needs this, needs guidance on this, he can simply connect with the center, Gene Support Center, where he is given something called as free pre-test counseling. That means you feel you need a test, you feel your patient needs a test, simply connect with them. This center is equipped with trained nutrigenomic counselors, either doctors or dietitians. They're trained, they're certified counselors. They will assess your condition and they'll tell whether you need a genetic test or not. If you don't need, they'll say you don't need, sir, please don't do it. If you need it, they'll tell you which test will be helpful and what you should expect from it. This is called as pre-test counseling. I'm happy to mention that there are 500 dietitians in the country today who are trained by us, who are offering pre-test counseling at different locations. Right? We also run a nutrigenomics training certification program, and that's absolutely free for any individual. You can simply call the dietitian who spend 20-25 minutes on call interacting with that individual and tell what is the issue. There's a helpline number also I can make that available for your patients or your this thing also. You can just call them, discuss, and there's no charge for it. Right? Okay, anyway, so once a person decides to take a test, a simple saliva sample is taken. Then that saliva sample comes to the lab will generate a report, and then this report will be used by the trained dietitians, doctors, counselors to explain what the report is. I show you one page of the report. Likewise, the report may run into 30, 40, 50 pages. For diabetes, there's a test, for obesity, there's a test, and so on. So the role of the counselor is to explain the report and then design diet, exercise, and lifestyle program. If a dietitian herself wants to do this, okay, then for that purpose, Gene Support also has a training program on nutrigenomics. When all these years we were doing a 2-day followed by 3-month follow-up training program in Pune, and we did a couple of training programs in other parts of the country, especially in association with IDA. Most of our training programs were in collaboration with IDA, local chapters. I'm happy to mention that this April onward, Gene Support in association with an international university will be launching a certificate program online for 2-credit 50 hours training program for dietitians to undergo nutrigenomic training, get certified from the university and start following it. Fine. So this is also been started, and it's not just dietitians but a lot of doctors have participated in it. Fine. There was a very interesting discussion that we had because I think diet recommendation dietitians can give it much better, but doctors were interested in learning this and this thing. The dietitian's role is very tough. They need to sit with the patient for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, understand the entire history, give a lot of time, spend a lot of time and explain them what are the dietary requirements and so on. I have seldom seen doctors doing it, with due respect to their profession, but this really happens very rarely. Probably they have a lot of patients and hence they are not being able to do so. But yes, for the training purpose we have been able to see. These are some of our research collaboration. Apart from this commercial activity, we have been involved in a lot of research with many international and national universities. This was the Ministry of Ayush research program that we started on diabetes. These are few glimpses of our lab. As I mentioned, our lab has several national as well as international accreditation. If at all it happens that you come to Pune, please do give me a ring. I'll be happy to show you, take you around the facility and show you how DNA and genes actually look like. So you can actually take the sample and give the DNA. So that's all from my side for the day. Thank you very much for being a patient audience. And the gist of the entire discussion was that nutrigenomics as a testing mechanism by the doctors or dietitians should be considered as a new tool for stubborn case management. Of course, it would be advisable that you learn it first and understand how it can be used or to whom it can be recommended for management of stubborn cases and also for preventive management. So this is something doctors and dietitians can take it as a take-home message. It's completely research and evidence-based. It's not theory, it's not observation-based. Fine. For people who do not belong to medical fraternity, the message can be that there is now possibility to understand your own genetic makeup of your children, your siblings, your parents, and if anyone is suffering from a particular lifestyle disease. There are some lifestyle diseases that can be managed. This test can help you manage the disease better. The test doesn't help, the recommendations and following that recommendation based on the test will help you manage it better. And if you have a risk for a lifestyle disease particular, the test can also help you understand how to manage it, manage the risk. That's the gist of it. Thank you very much once again. I'll be happy to answer if there are any questions.
Entrepreneur wants to know that taking decision during a particular hour of the day can be good for the business by understanding the clock.
Correct.
Is it possible?
I understand your concern, sir. First of all is, no, there is no mechanism to be available for it. though I do not deny whether a particular person is suitable to work in a particular shift based on the clock gene. Whether pilot should fly a plane in a particular time zone based on the clock gene. There are companies that are doing it and there are people who are doing it. So as far as decision of shift is concerned, decision of activity is concerned, whether a person will be able to work in a, let's say, coal mine or a metal mine or not, is there. At the same time, your query is also genuine and interesting, that whether a person's decision making, cognitive ability will be governed or influenced by genetic makeup, yes. But probably that correlation no one has explored so far. So it's a good idea to work on. Someone will have to work on it and come up with a matrix on it. So as I mentioned, today it's not available, but I do not deny the possibility of this being developed. If flights can run based on clock gene, fine. Business decisions of course are also equally important because they decide life of so many individuals, and that can be developed.
But sir, if it is developed, then your scope multiplies manifold.
Yeah.
Multiplies manifold.
Yes, it would. There are various applications of genomics, multiple applications of genomics.
एक सर आपने बोला था कि the genes cannot be altered of any individual.
Yeah. Gene अपनी body में, so let's say I have a gene for swelling. So I have a tendency to show swelling. In technical terms, we call it as inflammation. Okay, and production of a chemical called as interleukin 6. chemical produce होता है, तो मेरी body में inflammation swelling होता है. Swelling की जरूरत होती है हर जगह body में, अलग अलग tissues में. अब इस स्वेलिंग के जीन्स के दो टाइप के लोग होते हैं. कुछ लोग ऐसे जो थोड़ा सा भी स्ट्रेस आ जाए तो बहुत ज़्यादा केमिकल प्रोड्यूस कर देंगे, और कुछ लोग जो बहुत स्ट्रेस आने के बाद भी कम करेंगे. राइट, ये दो जो कैटेगरी ये कभी चेंज नहीं हुई. इफ आई एम अ वेरी सेंसिटिव टाइप, आई रिमेन सेंसिटिव. इफ यू आर अ रेजिस्टेंट टाइप, यू आर बॉर्न विद दैट जीन, विल रिमेन रेजिस्टेंट. फाइन, सो दैट रिमेन्स एज इट इज. इसका मतलब मुझे थोड़ा भी कोई तंग करे तो आई गेट स्ट्रेस. यू हैव बेटर कैपेसिटी टू टॉलरेट. But in both our cases, when there is stress, our genes are switched on, and when the stress is removed, our gene is switched off. We are trying to check that whether yoga is triggering good genes on and bad genes off. Good and bad genes would be there in each and every individual. So the genes are not going to change. If they are good, they remain good. If they are bad, they remain bad. But whether yoga is going to trigger good genes on and switch bad genes off, and whether that is going to result into stopping of type 2 diabetes. So this is called as epigenetics. ये जो मैंने अभी बताया सिंपल टर्म्स में, उसका टेक्निकल टर्म कहते हैं epigenetics. Effect of environment on working of genetics of an individual. इसका implication ये है long term, मतलब सुनने को लगता है कि योगा करता होगा, इसका क्या? But if you are able to identify such factors, you can mimic those factors, and depending upon person's pre-diabetic stage, you can give it in concentrated doses or form so as to avoid type 2 diabetes. So, clinical.
So wonderful, sir. So wonderful.
Sir, one more.
Yes.
Sir, so can we decide that on behalf of this genetic factor, he will be or she will be very good or excellent in this particular category?
Understood. I got the gist of your question. So the answer to this is, can we do? Okay. Followed by that, even reasoning, logical reasoning, analytical reasoning, ये genetics govern करता है, and there are genes for it. So we have a genetic panel that tells whether a person has a good memory, low memory tendency, high memory tendency, high reasoning power, low reasoning power. There is a genetic panel. We are already working with some of the expert psychologists and psychiatrists to think if we can use this for improving the study mechanism. Fine, because if it helps, then a person will be able to train a person in a particular direction. If some studies require more of analytical, we'll be able to find whether a person has more analytical skills. If a study needs more reasoning, we'll be able to find whether a person has a tendency. This is not to decide whether a person is intelligent or dumb. These are very broad terms. But within that intelligence, what are the various strengths we can find out? We used to do it earlier, but then we realized that what we are doing is just a test, and the recommendation is something that needs to be much more stronger. So we started working on developing that mechanism. So the answer to this is it possible? Yes. In soon near future, yes. Is it available now? No.
till now it is, as of now it is
As
not.
of now it's not, but yes, it is. As of now lifestyle diseases.
पूछना पड़ेगा इनके लिए।
We have started our operations in Jaipur, and Srivastava ji is looking after all the operations here as of now. So we'll be happy to expand it further. Look forward to your suggestions, comments, and different approaches. Thank you so much. And a small IT has been arranged, so please enjoy that, though it has some gluten component.
And your research shows that 99% are prone to the gluten.
Yes.
Sir, you
Then you can
said,
have probiotic in the evenings. So.
sir, you have said 98%.